Hey guys, welcome back to my tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll do some coding. And now before this is a question, you can pause the video and take a look at it. Now the first thing I want to tell you is when you see a question, if it is quite lengthy, as this has a certain length, but don't panic about the length and all. The first thing you should do is read the problem statement carefully, figure out what it needs, and then write a pseudocode. Take a pen and paper, write a pseudocode. Um, Pseudocode is nothing but, in the normal English, you write that what the program needs and what you have to do for that, and then write C program, and then you can go to your machine, test, debug, and run it. Now, like in this question is the program should calculate and display the miles per gallon. That is nothing but the average. Miles per gallon is nothing but miles by gallons for each tank full. After processing all the input, the program should calculate and print the combined. So print the combined miles per gallons. It has nothing but we'll have to take the average of all of the number which they calculate. Okay, so getting into the coding part. Now what all we need gallons, as we just saw in the question. So what all we need gallons that they fill in, then the miles, the miles driven, the gallons. Okay, and then we'll need the total average, as it says here. We need to calculate the combined, so that refers to the average, and display miles per gallon obtained for each, so for each vehicle as well. So what do we take? We'll take float over here so that we get little accurate values. If you want even more accurate, you can take it as double. So we'll take variables as gallons, miles, then total gallons to count for the average, and total miles again for the average, then the total average. Now here first we'll prompt the user to enter the gallons used, and enter -1 to end it. Okay, so we'll using scanf will take the input. Then here comes the while loop. While loop will ask them to keep on giving the input unless they if they hit -1, that means that's the end. They don't have any other data to enter. So that is it. So uh, now what we'll do here is total gallons will be added to gallons. This is nothing but total gallons is equal to total gallons plus gallons. Now we'll prompt the user to enter the miles driven. So using scanf will scan it, and for to calculate the average we'll need total miles. So we'll add the total miles here itself, and again this is same as total miles is equal to total miles plus miles. And in the printf we'll just for individual vehicle we'll just print out miles per gallons as per asked in the question. And now again we'll prompt the user if he has another value to enter of the gallons. Similarly this will loop through till the user presses -1, and at the end when he presses -1 it will come out of this loop and it will take the average. The total average will be the total miles which we calculated over here every time he enters, and the total gallons which we calculated over here. Okay, and it will print out the values. I'll just build and run it. So it says enter the gallons used. I'll say I used 14 gallons. Then miles, okay, I'll say 145 miles. Then it says for that vehicle the mileage will be, that is miles per gallon was this much. So how do you calculate it? You'll just you will divide the miles by gallons, you'll get this value. Similarly he'll ask for the another value to enter. I'll just press 20, and to show you the normal calculation I'll just press 200 over here. So you see this is 10. Now I'll enter another value 30 and say 350. Now I'll just press -1 to say that I don't have any other data to enter, so just show me the average of all of these. So we'll calculate the average, the overall average, and here it is. So again I'll just walk you through this once again. Now here we have just declared variables gallons, miles, and total gallons and total miles we have just initiated it to 0. so that the total doesn't fill up with some junk values. We've just filled it up with 0. We'll prompt the user, we'll take the values. Now we'll loop through this until -1 is pressed. The gallons will be added, like I press 20, so gallons, total gallons is 0, so 0 is equal to 0 plus 20, so total gallons is equal to 0 plus the gallons which we entered 20, so total gallons will be 20 now. Then we'll ask for the miles. Similarly, it will add the miles, then it will take the average, and then we'll ask him if he has another value to enter, and then at the end we'll just add the total average, total miles, which will get it from here, and total gallons will get it from here. That will print out the total average. So I hope this was useful. We'll move on to the next tutorial, next program. So guys, this is our next question, the program which we have to write. You can pause the video and read the question again. And to a rough analysis, what we have to do in this is we'll have to just find out the maximum number. We'll let the user, they have given a salesperson, he'll enter some 10 numbers. We'll have to find out which is the greatest. Okay, so what all we need here is we'll make it into a variable. Now these are the three variables which I've taken. One is the int counter, int number, int largest, which will store the largest number. So in the printf statement, I'll prompt the user to enter the first number. So we need 10 numbers. We'll store the first number using scanf. In the largest, we'll assume that the number which he entered first is the largest. So now we had to enter 10 digits, right? We had to put 10 inputs. We have already got one, so I've initialized the counter to 2 now. Okay, now coming into the while loop, we'll count it till the counter is equal to 10. So again we'll prompt the user to put the next number. We'll store that number inside the variable number which we declared here, and in the next step we'll check whether this number is greater than or equal to the largest. That is, we'll check it with the first number. By chance, if it is largest, then we'll just replace this number with the largest, and then we'll increase the counter, so it will go for the third count. It'll check in the while loop, is 3 less than or equal to 10. It'll tell yes, it's true. Then it'll prompt the user again to enter the next number. He'll enter the next number. It'll be stored in the number variable. Then it'll check again, is it greater than or not. Then it'll replace if it is greater, else it'll just increase the counter. And after finishing all those 10 numbers, it'll just print out finally the largest number. Okay, so let's just build and run it, and there you go. I'll just include simple digits: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so now let me tell you what just happened here again. So now this was the first number which he entered, it was 1. So I had assumed that 1 is largest now because I don't have any other number, so I've assumed that 1 is the largest, and I'll put the counter to 2. Now while the counter is less than or equal to 10, that is till this condition is true, uh, do these, which is inside these loop. Okay, I'll ask him for the next number. He'll enter 2, then he'll store it in the variable number. Then he'll check, is number 2 greater than the largest. Now largest here was 1, so number 2 here it'll be over here, so it'll compare, yes, 2 is greater than 1, so it'll replace it. Similarly it'll do for all these things. Okay, now suppose in this they have asked just which is the largest number. Suppose they ask which is the largest and the second largest number, then we'll have to do little changes in the code, which I'll just show you now. Now as I said, suppose they ask the first largest and the second largest, all we have to do is we'll have to just add another variable, second largest, and we'll just initialize it to 0. And like the previous time, we just prompt the user to enter the first number. We'll assume that that was the largest number. We'll keep the counter at 2. We'll initialize it at 2. Then again we'll prompt the user to enter the next number. Okay, and we'll store it in the variable number. Now here's a tricky part. Now for example, if uh, this first number entered was 1, so now largest number will be 1, and the second number entered was 2. So okay, now in the if loop it will check if 2 is greater than 1. Okay, it is true, then it will come inside this, and what it will do is the largest, which was the value 1, and number which had the value 2, so the largest which had 1 will become second largest, and the 2 will become the largest number. And suppose it was vice versa, like it was this condition was not satisfied, then it will become the second largest, and the counter will go on. I'll just show you that with an example. um, I'll just take 1 2 and rest I'll just take it as 0, and just to explain it to you properly. Now what it does here is largest will become 2, and second largest is 1. Okay, now coming through the code, um, now the first number which the user entered was 1, so we assume that the largest number was 1. We had put the counter, we had initialized it to 2, and coming inside the while loop we'll ask him to enter this next number. He enters this one as 2, so now 2, that is 2 is stored in the variable number, and 1 is stored in the variable largest. 2 is obviously greater than 1, so we'll just shift 1. We'll say 1 will be the second largest number, and the largest number, number was 2. This will become the largest number. So this condition is satisfied, it won't come here. I will just increment the counter and repeat the loop. Okay, uh, I hope this was not too confusing. Okay, we'll just move on to our uh, next program. This tutorial might be a bit long, but you know, please stick with me, and I'm sure you'll become a very good programmer. Please stick with me and look out for more programs. And now in this program, we'll just ask the user to enter the side of the square. We'll just build a square of whatever side the user inputs. Okay, so now what we did here is we just took input as side, temp, and star. Temp, I'll just tell you side because we'll just prompt the user to input a side, about what size of square he needs. Okay, now we'll store the value of side inside temp. Okay, I'll just tell you in a minute why is that. And here we'll just the side will post decrement it till it is greater than 0. Okay, this thing will fill all the rows. Okay, and we'll copy the value of the side which was in temp. Now we'll copy the value of temp inside the star, so that will help us in making column wise stars, number of stars column wise. Okay, so similarly we'll post decrement the star till it is greater than 0, and we'll put a star value over here. And then after this loop is executed, this loop executes, I guess if I input 4 over there, this will input 4 times. For every one time of this will execute 4 times. So column wise it will go, column is vertically, it will fill the stars, and when it comes here it will start filling by rows. Okay, so yeah, now this one, putchar is nothing but, as we saw in the previous tutorials and all, getchar was to get a value. This will just put a value. Now I'll just build and run it. I'll just show you. Now we have prompted the user, so if he puts 4, we get 4 cross 4 square. Okay, so now what happened here exactly is, in this part we just asked the user to input the side of the square, and we stored that in the variable side. Then that value, that is 4 in this case, is stored inside temp. So we'll just see, is 4 greater than or greater than 0? Yes, it is. The condition is true, it will go inside the loop. Then what it does is it will just store the value 4 inside the star, because we need the dimension that way and with width. Okay, so here what it does is it will again loop through. It'll see 4, is it greater than 0? Yes, it is. So it will print the single star over here. Then it'll come back, it'll post decremented, so it'll be 3 now. Is 3 greater than 0? Yes it is, so it'll print another one. Okay, then again it'll loop here. Is 2 greater than 0? Yes it is, then it'll loop again. Then is 1 greater than 0? Yes it is, so it'll loop this last fourth star and it'll come up here. Then it'll check, is 0 greater than 0? No it's not, then it'll come out of the loop. It'll put one line over here, it'll put a new line over here. Now instead of this, if I had used another character, like if I'd used printf, it would have done the same thing. I'll just show you now. I'll just take it out and put printf, and I want a new line, and it'll still print it out. As you can see, if I put 4 again, it prints out 4 cross 4. Okay, so yeah, this was it. Play around with it. I guess if I make it 50, it will give 50 cross 50 square. Okay, I didn't count it, but I'm hoping my program is correct and it is true. 10 will get 10 cross 10. Okay, so in the next program we'll just make a checkerboard, and after that we'll do one last one where we'll check whether the inputs entered is a triangle or not. Okay, so guys, this is a program for the checkerboard. Now those of you don't know how checkerboard looks, it will be something like this. Okay, now the first thing we should know is it is 8 cross 8, and at every even row there's a space at the beginning. Okay, so second row there's a space, fourth, sixth and eighth row. So that's how we let's do it. So we'll take three variables, side, row and mod. We'll initialize side to 8 because it is an 8 cross 8 checkerboard, and now we'll use mod to find out whether it's an odd row or an even row. So we'll put side, we'll use a while loop to loop through till it is greater than or equal to 1. We'll set the row to 8. Then if the side, now actually the value of side now is 8, so I'll check the modulus as we discussed before. It will just give us the reminder, so 8 by 2 we won't get any reminder, it will be 0. When we come to this one, the row counter, we'll take it in the same way as this one. We'll use a while loop till the row is greater than or equal to 1, and the if loop if the mod is not equal to 0, but in this case it is 0, so we don't have to do this part. We'll just skip it and we'll just print this one. We'll decrement the row, and similarly we'll do it for the rest of the eight steps. Now after that we'll come to the new line using this one, printf. Then we'll decrement the side. Now side will be 7, so row is we have set it again to 8. So we'll check whether now we are in which row, odd row or even row. So side is 7, 7 by 2 we won't get the reminder as 0. Okay, so this is not equal to 0, but when it comes to this loop we'll see no, it is not equal to 0, so it'll leave a space as we just saw. It'll leave a space and then continue the normal execution as before. It will set the mod to 0, and then it will print star symbol and it will go on. Okay, so this was a program for the checkerboard, and now for the last program we'll just use we'll ask the user to input 3 variables and we'll check it if that makes it a triangle or not. So guys, this is a program for to check whether the input values are triangle will make it a triangle or not. What we did here is we just took 3 variables, a, b and c. We took it as float. We okay, let it be float. Okay, we prompt the user to enter the 3 numbers, and in a single line we'll just read all of those, and this is how you do it. You put 3 percentile f and a, b and c with address operators, in case I didn't tell you about this. And we use a case statement. We'll use Pythagoras theorem, that is c square should be equal to a square plus b square. If this condition is satisfied, we can tell it that this could be a triangle, else this probably can be a triangle. Okay, so let's build and run it. I hope there are no errors, and there are no. Okay, let's put some values, 1, 2, and 3. Will it work? No. See, these probably can be sides of triangle, and that's quite true because it takes the value of a as 1, b as 2, and c as 3. So 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5, and it is not equal to 9. So if we try some other values which makes it a triangle, yeah, let's take 3, 4, and 5. Okay, I will take 3, 4, and 5. This could be a triangle, and this is because 3 square we know it's 9, 4 square is 16, and 9 plus 16 is 25, which is equal to 5 square. So that's how you do that's how you find out whether it's a triangle or not. So guys, that's it for this tutorial. I know this was a long one, but you know, stick with me and we can still do more programs and get familiar with all the loops and all the keywords of C. So thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, and if you have any doubts, please leave it in the comment below on YouTube. I'll check it. Thank you guys.